She, Riri Williams, is dumpster diving, whereas Tony Stark was this bajillionaire. You replaced Tony Stark, a white dude, with a black girl who Disney has constructed. The backstory of her character is that the black girl goes dumpster diving to steal stuff, I guess, from Stark Industries, is the way I understand the story goes. Like, it's in a Stark dumpster, and she's stealing parts from Stark to go rebuild the suit. I don't know if you thought that one all the way through, Disney. Maybe Robert Downey Jr. did this out of the goodness of his heart. Maybe he genuinely means it. Maybe Disney paid for it. I have no idea. Empire Magazine has always seemed to be the publication of record when it comes to Disney doing major interview pieces, obviously promoting a show. Let's be frank, they pay for a lot of this prominent placement. Empire, these kind of magazines don't do this for free. I've seen publications in the past, it's like, hey, you want the prominent placement? We'll do an article on you, talk about your business, which is what this is, and it'll cost you $5,000 and $10,000, whatever it is. I've never done it, but I know people who have. Stuff like this from Empire, again, they don't magically just keep going back to Disney for free. These are massive marketing pieces for this. When they start interviewing the actors, and the actors are talking about the show, and go watch the show. We hope you like the show. This is marketing, right? This is generally paid for marketing. When the actual actors and directors and the showrunners were involved in interviews like this, this is part of a press junket. This is part of the marketing campaign for a film or television production. Ironheart, Dominique Thorne is the actress that's playing the Riri Williams in this. Got 2 thumbs up from RDJ. Well, holla frickin' Luya. The MCU began with a suit of armor. 17 years ago, Robert Downey Jr. suited up for the first time as Iron Man, cladding himself in a hot rod rocket suit, kicking off 5 phases of interconnected storytelling. Full stop. Kicked off 3 phases. 3 phases of interconnected storytelling that concluded with Endgame. There were 2 other phases past that had nothing to do with anything, and most of the audience left the building. Please do not saddle RDJ's good name with the abject failures of phases 4 and 5. I have to read this with a straight face. Now we're about to see another character literally build themselves into a hero before our eyes. Are we, though? Riri Williams, a.k.a. Ironheart, the prodigious teen genius first introduced in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, who puts her technological expertise into making her own Iron Man-inspired suit. Again, let's be really clear. This character is not terribly organic. This was created, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was in the comic books, Valiant. Yeah, it was in the Disney comic books. It was after Disney bought Marvel and started creating all of these diversity characters like Riri Williams. Again, this goes back into look at the history of Marvel in phases 4 and 5. Remember what Kevin Feige promised us when Shang-Chi was about to come out, when they were doing the red carpet event in 2021 for Shang-Chi. This will be the most diverse and representative Marvel you've ever seen. We heard this over and over again to the point we was like, oh my God, just tell us how good the movies are. Does this mean the movies are going to suck? All you keep talking about is diversity and representation, but are the movies actually going to be good? Turns out they weren't. This is another one of those characters that was on the table to fit with Disney's corporate directive for the Stories Matter group, which is the DEI writing and the creative group. Let's call it the DEI creative group at Disney. This is actually a thing. We've covered it many, many times. Just like we replaced a lot of the male characters with the female characters. Remember when Nerdrotic first famously called it the MCU at the end of Endgame, and that's exactly what they gave us. We got the MCU with Girl Thor, Girl Hawkeye, all the Marvel's characters, Captain Marvel, all the female stars. And then we started race swapping too, right? Captain America was now a mantle. And instead of having a white man as Captain America, Steve Rogers, now we're going to have a black man. Now, instead of having a white man as Iron Man, Tony Stark, we're now going to have a black girl. It's the pattern is what you think it is. It's the same thing. Now, is there anything wrong inherently with recasting or putting in more ethnically or racially diverse or whatever we want to call it? No, just can we get good stories? But the problem is people are really, really sick of the virtue signaling, Disney. And at this point, it's become blatantly obvious to the normies out there, which is why they don't show up anymore, right? Is because it's all very disingenuous. You're just doing it to artificially diversify your casting. And it's probably not an accident that Wakanda Forever was one of the better performing, outside of Deadpool and Wolverine, one of the better or best performing Marvel Phases 4 and 5 movies, because they still looked at the black cast and characters in that film as more authentic. But of course, you kind of pissed off half the audience, walked away even from Wakanda Forever. Why? Because you didn't recast T'Challa. And the male audiences for that film did not want to come back and see a skinny little 90-pound girl in the role of Black Panther. And they still don't, which is why none of the toys sold and you can't sell merchandise anymore, right? This is the same problem with this show. We're now giving you a skinny little black girl or whatever that's going to be your new Iron Man. This is Wakanda Forever Take 2, which, again, no accident. This character was introduced in Wakanda Forever. So we're finally getting this thing show up on Disney Plus, which is strange because this thing was filming a couple of years ago. They were in the middle of filming this, I believe. They were doing the production on this thing around the same time as Wakanda Forever. So this thing has been pushed back, retooled. I think it was put off for a very long time because I don't think that Disney wanted to take the write-downs on Disney Plus. Because remember, they don't actually claim the expenses of a production like this until it goes to air. So even though, and I don't know what the budget is for this, but this was done in the era when Marvel was still spending like a drunken effing sailor on these things. This thing might be another $200 million catastrophe. I don't know if we have any real figures out there yet. But if this is another $150, $200 million catastrophe, this is why Disney has probably deferred this on the books. It's still floating out there until this thing drops. They had to get Disney Plus to profitability. That was the most important thing. So if you look at the timing of this, I believe this comes out, in June? And it comes out towards, it debuts on June 25th. So that's 6 days before the end of this fiscal quarter. So I'm going to assume that because Disney is going to have to eat the entire $400 million of the costs on the expenses for streaming this quarter of Andor, they probably wanted to defer the lion's share of this for Ironheart out into the fourth fiscal quarter. We're in the third fiscal quarter for Disney right now. It ends June 30th. This show debuts June 25th. So that means you'll probably only have one episode, I guess, maybe two out before the end of the fiscal quarter. So Disney is going to probably try to defer the bulk of the costs for Ironheart, whatever they are, for Disney Plus until the last fiscal quarter. They've really got to spread out these enormous original production costs because it's the last thing Disney can afford. And they're still on a fairly razor's edge with profitability. The last thing that Disney can afford is to have a quarter at this point where they go backwards on streaming operating income, on profit. And right now, Hulu is the only thing that's holding them up. Stuff like this on Disney Plus is what's killing Disney Plus. And these are the kind of shows that I think in the next 2 to 3 years are going to just disappear almost entirely. The resulting Ironheart series is set to evolve Dominique Thorne Williams from the excitable upstart we met in Wakanda Forever. Again, if people even really remember the character at this point. This is the same kind of problem with Thunderbolts, okay? And it comes with the seal of approval from Tony Stark himself, Robert Downey Jr., and I spoke just after we wrapped. He shared some very lovely words about my journey, Thorne tells Empire. So again, this is an interview with Dominique Thorne, so this suggests this is a paid-for marketing campaign from Disney because they always go to Empire. He told me how excited he was and that he's rooting for it too. I literally got 2 thumbs up. It's really assuring to know that you're not embarrassing Iron Man. Cue up the AC/DC. Still, Williams comes at her suit building journey from a very different vantage point to mega CEO Stark. Quote, these are some of the things that Disney never seems to think about. And let's call it for what it is. This is from Dominique Thorne, who plays Riri Williams, the titular character of Ironheart, right? She says Riri Williams, is dumpster diving, whereas Tony Stark was this bajillionaire. Not to say that Riri's project in Ironheart won't be impressive. She has, after all, spent time with the Wakandans. Quote, what she's able to accomplish is remarkable, teases Thorne. Time to suit up. You replaced Tony Stark, a white dude, with a black girl who Disney has constructed. The backstory of her character is that the black girl goes dumpster diving to steal stuff, I guess, from Stark Industries, is the way I understand the story goes. Like, it's in a Stark dumpster, and she's stealing parts from Stark to go rebuild the suit. I don't know if you thought that one all the way through, Disney. Ooh, I hope you... Somebody with racially stereotyping in Disney, or at least I think they thought they were. You gave us a black girl hero that has to go dumpster diving to steal a white dude's stuff. What the F, Disney?
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.